What's up guys, and welcome back to some more Sun and Moon coverage with me, TheOneIntegral. Now, as many of you I'm sure are aware, E3 is on currently. If you weren't aware, it is. And some of you might know that Nintendo obviously have a booth at E3 and do stuff like that. But their sort of reveal was a smaller one this year. They're talking about Zelda, Wii U, whatever it's called, elsewhere, but they also did a feature on Pokemon Sun and Moon, showed us some gameplay of it, and had Junichi Masuda as well as the new director of Sun and Moon. I can't remember his name currently, I apologise, but they had him there talking about the games as well. So I did loads of notes, got a couple pages of notes here as the sort of they went through and looked at some gameplay and such. And I did, first they talked about just the games in general, and then they booted the gameplay up. So I'm going to go quickly over what they said before the gameplay, because there was a few little snippets to look at there, and then we'll look into the gameplay they showed and what we can bring from it. So they were asked why Sun and Moon, why was Sun and Moon chosen as the names of the games? Well, it was because the sun is a source of life, as is the moon in a way, and they wanted to express this as sort of as a life, express this life-givingness with the region. Hence, Hawaii, Alola is very lifelike, not lifelike, but teeming with life. And they then said later on that Alola is the reason why they, that's what they wanted Alola to feel alive, and that's why they chose Hawaii as a basis there. They were asked about Solgaleo and Lunala, and obviously mentioned that they're the emissaries of the Sun and the Moon, and we were told they have a unique role in the games that's not done before, with previous duos, so like Dialga and Palkia. Not same sort of role there, apparently. So maybe they won't be warring with each other, maybe their role will be sort of slightly different there. The lady who was also presenting the the feature said something about a spiritual role, or spiritual sort of roles of Solgaleo and Lunala, spiritual sort of background in the games, and we don't really know too much about that because all she did was mention it, and then she said we can't really talk about it now, but we might talk about it later on, but they didn't really. So that sort of hints at how the legendaries might tie into the games, rather than being some sort of actually to do with the sun and the moon and bringing them crashing down or eclipse-like stuff. It might be some more of a spiritual thing, but really who knows at the moment. They were also asked about the Zygarde forms, because they were revealed just yesterday, and we were told that they appear in the games in a special way. Now, what does special way mean? I don't know. We can speculate though. It means they might feature in the storyline, it means they might feature in the post-game, or it means they might feature as just simply a capture or some form of, something along those lines, a side storyline, something like that will be in the game. So that's very interesting there. Then, there wasn't much else. They were asked about the starters, they wanted them all to be cute, have some nice movement and some personality to them, so there's that. And obviously we spoke about the hero and the heroine for a bit, obviously a warm climate, so the design, they have less clothes basically, and now we have realistic proportions. And again, the lady presenting was working for our team, she was on our side, and she asked about the bracelets, and of course, can't say anything yet. So it was mentioned, so it's obviously something big, so we'll see soon. Then, we started with the gameplay, so I'll start going through all of the images we saw. First up, we have some images of the player inside the house here. We've seen some of these before, but we can actually see them walking around. If you haven't seen the gameplay, hoping they will bring out a little roll of it, or I'm sure Nintendo will put up a presentation on their YouTube channel at some point. It's just easier to sort of grab these snippets out because they are talking all over it, and also there's translation between Japanese and English going on all the time. But we have some screenshots here. You go out of your room into this lovely house, talk to a Meowth, and then also you talk to this woman who is your mother, confirmed mother, and she says, sleep does the body good, travelling is a true education. Now this point in the storyline isn't the start of the story. We're told it's the day after you receive your starter, so we can assume that's the first day. You leave your house, you go up to town, or maybe get taken to town or whatever, and you receive your starter Pokemon there. And then you go back home, you sleep possibly, and the day goes by, and you wake up the next day, and then you come out here, and obviously you're going on an adventure because your mother says travelling is a true education. So it's very likely that she means you're going on an adventure now. This is you guys get the idea there. So that's what that. And then we leave the house. Now we speculated, maybe it'll be in the starting village where you get the starter and stuff, because he was seen running out of one of the houses in the trailer. But this is our house here, and you can see it's quite a big house. It's even got a garage, so we're obviously very rich people. And this house is the one that's at the base of the hill on the starting island. So you have to run up the hill to get to the starting village, and it's also across from Professor Kukui's lab as well. But when we leave the house, we actually sort of go around the edge. We go to the right, up onto Route 1. Now you can see this lovely Route 1 indicator, Route 1 sort of, I don't know what you call it, overlay that appears, and it's based on a wave. The wave sort of wiggles up and down and then fades out. And I think it's really sort of nice, and it's a really like sleek design that goes in it. So I quite like that. It's different, but it's similar to the, the good old ones where Route 1 would drop down from the top of the screen, for example. So then we have our first wild battle. It's against the Ladybug, so there's nothing too much interesting to look at there, but we can see some shots of the battle screen on the bottom screen, for example. And you can see here, the first shot we have Pokemon and Bag on the left, Fight on the right, and Run is still at the bottom. So they've moved it around a bit, mainly so you can see in the centre we have Boplio and we have Ladybug and their icons there, and we'll see why in a second. They're actually there, basically. But I do like the designs here. They fit in with the theme of Alola, basically, and it's different. It's not the same sort of having Fight in the middle, Run at the bottom, and then Pokemon and Bag at the sides. But I pretty much like it. Now the reason we can actually see them in the middle is for more battle detail, basically, and they've added this in quite a few ways. The first one is you can see when you click on the move screen, you can fight. You can see each of your moves here. It tells you obviously typing, name, PP, stuff that we know before, but you can also see you got the I buttons on each of those, which if you click it, it takes you to another sort of slide and shows you information about the move. So it tells you the power, the accuracy, and a short description. So basically, you don't have to go Pokemon, info, moves, and then do it. Of course, you could do it in battle before, but it was like pressing like L and A or something like that. So it was a bit more of a tricky way to do it. But you can also see we have indicators here telling us how effective the moves are against our opponent. Now, this I'm not quite sure how this works. They mentioned that it's once they mentioned later on when you're battling your starter and you battle it and you say, oh, you've battled it already, so you know how effective these moves are. So it's possible that you don't get it the first time. If it's the first time you're seeing the Pokemon, you have no clue on the effectiveness or the typing or whatever, but maybe it's when you've caught it, possibly not, or maybe when you have seen it basically a second time, who knows. But another way they're adding extra detail to the battle screen, as you can see here, this is after the Poplio has used Growl on the Ladybug, and you can see this little plus icon right next to the Ladybug there, and if you tap on that, another screen comes up here, and you can see basically it tells you what Ladybug's stats are currently in, what state they're in. It tells you also the typing, and then attack, defense, etc., accuracy and evasivenesses, and you have one blue arrow going down on attack there because it has one stage lowered attack. Obviously you're going up to 6 maximum, and obviously if you have boosted attack it would be a red up arrow. So it's a different thing to what we've seen before. It's good for new players because they have to remember all, but you could say, well, that's part of Pokemon. It's remembering what moves do what and how effective they are, and all of that. It's a very weird topic, but we shall move on, and the next thing we have is catching a Pokemon. Now you can see the Pokeball up in the top left of the bottom screen. This is possibly either a registered item or the last item used, because it's up there, like similar in games we had the last used item. And obviously if you click on it you get Pokeballs, and then you can say use, and there's a nice little animation for catching it. Once the sort of wiggles enough, you get this nice orange ball coming up, and we still get experience for catching Pokemon. So that's still a thing in Sun and Moon. It was in Black and White, I think, as well, and then also X and Y, so it's still carrying along. And you can see this nice level up screen, all the stats giving you how many bonuses you get, and then it shifts in, so the stats combined, so you get 23 plus 3 goes to 26, and it sort of shifts in there, which I think is really cool. Now then, Pokedex. They caught a Ladybug, and you can see here in the Pokedex we have that nice registered fly across, with Ladybug here being number 20 in the Alola Dex. So that's number 20 there. We have a few more to fill in obviously between, and you can see the empty Pokeball where Ladian will be once it's been obtained. And obviously you get some information about Ladybug. It tells you have this little gender symbol there, so I guess it says you've caught a male, but you haven't caught a female, so you might want to get a female later on. Then there are a couple of things. Obviously you can move on the upper screen, you can look at the model and stuff, tells you typing, weight, height, and then obviously description, and then next Pokemon, cry, or the action. So that is pretty cool there. And then we go into another mild Pokemon battle, and we have a new Pokemon appear. We have Yungoos. Yungoos appears. Yungoos is a really weird Pokemon in my opinion, but it looks pretty cool. I'm not complaining. It looks a bit like Donald Trump, but that's the only downside there. Has some funky teeth, and obviously based on some sort of mongoose. And that's Yungoos there. It's a normal type. Obviously it's found on Route 1, as are 2 other new Pokemon that were also revealed today, one in the E3 video and then one in an extra video afterwards, because obviously they were planning to reveal all 3 here, but they weren't sure which ones they were going to run into in the video, in the sort of the gameplay actually, so they were just going to reveal all 3 anyway. So, Yungoos, normal type, it has two abilities, one of them being, let me find it, Stakeout, which is a new ability obviously, but this ability means basically when a new Pokemon enters the battle, it does double damage basically. So the moves do twice the normal damage to any Pokemon that switches in or out the field mid-battle. So if they come in, so if you start off with your Popplio and you switch out to your Ladybird, he's going to do double damage against you, which is really quite powerful. So I want to watch out for that. And his second ability is not clear whether it's a hidden ability or whether it's just a normal one you can find, is Strong Jaw. We've seen this before, obviously powers up biting moves, so he's going to get some good fang moves. Now they actually capture Yungoos on the gameplay, however, we are totally trolled and the Rotom Pokedex overlay comes up just as we're about to enter the Pokedex menu, so we don't get to see whether Yungoos has any evolutions, and if it does, how many evolutions or what number it is in the Pokedex, because it's conveniently up over the screen. Whether that was on purpose, we don't know, but that's all we have in Yungoos so far. However, later on, as I mentioned, we do encounter a new Pokemon, and this is Pikipek, the bird Pokemon from the very first Sun and Moon trailer that was shown being designed, and obviously now we can see it here. This is your normal flying type for the Alola region. It's number 10 in the Alola Dex because it then does get registered in the Dex you can see here, and it is part of a 3-stage evolution line, so basically, the same as any bird Pokemon or most bird Pokemon for the region. And I mentioned it's the Woodpecker Pokemon as well, because obviously look at that beak, it's got to be the Woodpecker Pokemon. So it is your normal type Pokemon for the region. Its abilities are Kenai and Skill Link. Kenai being obviously one that means your accuracy can't be reduced, but Skill Link is something different, and obviously we know what it is. It's Cloyster's got it, for example. You do maximum number of multi-hit moves. So, for example, Fury Attack is going to hit 5 times, so it might be pretty powerful. We don't quite know at the moment. It doesn't, again, not clear whether it's a hidden ability or not. We'll find out when the games come out. And then the last Pokemon revealed today is called Grubbin. Yeah! Grubbin, pure bug type. The ability is Swarm, which is pretty terrible compared to the other 2. But obviously this is going to be your bug type Pokemon from the Alola region. We don't know what number in the Dex it is because obviously it wasn't caught, but it's likely it's sort of, you have, as I mentioned, Pikipek is number 10, so that after the starters. Number 10, number 11, number 12 for Pikipek's line, number 13, 14, maybe 15 for Grubbin's line, and then maybe 1 or 2 more lines before we get to Ladybird. So Grubbin there, a pure bug type. It's based on a grub, obviously. Who knows what it'll grow up into? We'll find out later on, I suppose. Back to the obviously the Gameplay reveal. We then walked further up the road and we ran into a trainer. And then when we got close to the trainer, you can see here, we have these 2 sort of, I don't know what to call them, shades come down from the top and the bottom of the screen to basically inform you that you're about to have a battle. The person you're walking towards will battle you if you walk in front of them. So it's like an early warning system basically, which is a bit again a bit weird, a bit annoying, but again it's not too bad anyway. Obviously we battle her, and the way this works is you sort of have the 3D model and then it changes into almost a picture you can see here, and we're challenged by Lass Audrey, which is pretty cool, I like that. And then it gives you a shot of, in battle here you can see both trainers stood behind their Pokemon, and obviously the sizes are fairly good. Obviously Wailord is not going to be the full size Wailord we know, and Caterpie is much smaller than that, but it's the best they can do. Now when you also win the battle, you have again the trainer with their full, because obviously they're in battle anyway, you have a full model, say whatever ending thing they say, which looks pretty cool as well. It's not a picture, it's the model, which looks, in my opinion, awesome. So, then a bit further on, we also have a battle against a youngster. Not too much to show here, just simply the youngster art, nothing too much extra, from that. Or not youngster, preschooler I should say. That's what I mean there. But that's preschooler there. So then we move into the town, and we meet up with Hala. The town has a nice little cinematic entrance, which is pretty cool, and Hala comes along and says some stuff to us. Now he mentions that there are 4 islands in the Alola region, and each island has a guardian Pokemon. Interesting, cool. Guardian Pokemon. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Then we see Hal, and then Kukui and Lily come up, and Lily seems to have something in her bag. We don't know what this is, and when asked, again by the lady presenting, They could not talk about it once more, so it's possible a secret, something to do with Lily's background. She is mysterious, as we know. Maybe she's smuggled an alone Colossian Pokemon across, or maybe it's just something, I don't know, something random there. We don't know what it is, but there's a Pokemon in her bag basically making some noise. It's quite interesting. She asks Kukui about what we're doing here, because there's a festival going on of sorts, and Kukui explains that we are going to battle in the name of Tapu Koko. What is Tapu Koko? He's the guardian Pokemon of this island. So Tapu Koko, maybe a new Pokemon, maybe like just a name for the Pokemon and not the actual Pokemon's name. Who knows? It's very mysterious at the moment, but obviously we go up and we have this battle with Hal. It's our second battle, as I explained earlier, and Hala explains that we're going to be an offering to the guardian deity of the island, Tapu Koko. And he introduces Hal, the grandson of the Hakuha, something along those lines, which I think is Hala. It's also explained in the E3 conference that Hala is a strong trainer. He is not the Pokemon Professor or anything related to that. He is a trainer, so there is always a possibility that we might have to battle Hala at some point. He could be a gym leader, possibly. We don't know. Obviously, there's this building to the left of him, which could end up being a gym of some sorts. Who knows? But that's that there. But he introduces Hal, and then he also introduces us. Before him stands Sun, the player's name, one who has met with Tapu Koko. We met Tapu Koko already. Maybe when we originally came up, we got to our starter, and then we entered the forest behind, obviously, the town here. Maybe this is where Tapu Koko resides. Maybe we went through the forest for a bit. Maybe it was a pre-planned event, but we evidently met Tapu Koko, the Pokemon guardian of the island. Maybe a legendary. Who knows? And then the crowd speaks for a bit here and says, "Oh wow, what a curious little thing Tapu Koko is." That's just typical of it. So Tapu Koko doesn't seem like this big, strong, powerful deity of this island. The way they describe it seems to be it's going to be more of a cute little one, similar to Mew or to Victini or something along those lines. Tapu Koko, if it's a garden deity, which we know it is obviously, of course, it's possibly like a nice cute one that isn't as powerful, because obviously the island isn't as big possibly, but there's obviously loads of stuff we can talk about here, but that's that there. We then have a battle with Hal. A couple of things to point out. Hal at this point has a Pichu. It's unclear whether or not this is exclusive, because this obviously this player chose Poplio and they got Pichu. Pichu's good against Poplio, so maybe if you choose Litten they get a Sandshrew, something like that, who knows. Another thing to mention is that Poplio during this battle learned Disarming Voice, a fairy type move. Could this mean that Poplio will eventually evolve into a water fairy Pokemon? It's certainly possible because it's getting one of these moves. However, it could just be a red herring, we don't know quite yet. After the battle ends, Hala obviously congratulates us and then says, "I bet Tapu Koko liked it too." And this is where it ends. This is where the demo or the gameplay ends. Nothing happens from this point. Nothing happens at all. So maybe right after this word, Tapu Koko appears, or something happens in the wood, or maybe the evil team arrives and cause some panic. Something along those lines. Who knows? It's very crazy, very speculative. But that is all the gameplay we had there. A couple of things as well. Obviously, I mentioned the other 3 Pokemon were all revealed in a separate video, and there was some extra gameplay of that, showing off Magiana's new ability, Soul Heart, and it explains how it works a bit better. You can see here a double battle, which is pretty damn cool. Pangoro completely wipes Eevee out, and that causes Magiana's Soul Heart to activate, raising its special attack. And basically, Soul Heart increases your special attack every time a Pokemon in the arena or in the battle faints. So that, I guess, includes your Pokemon and the enemy's Pokemon as well. So it's like Moxie, except for double battles and triple battles and everything else like that, you also get a boost for your Pokemon dying, so it's quite interesting. There's one other thing to talk about as well, and that is a new game mode coming to Sun and Moon called Battle Royale. Not Battle Royale, unfortunately, Battle Royale, and basically this is a free-for-all. Maybe they saw all the free-for-alls come around after X and Y came out, but we have a free-for-all type thing. It's not exactly the same. 4 Pokemon on the field, you can attack whoever you want. The battle ends when the first person loses all of their Pokemon. Now, obviously, I guess the reason they did this is because obviously you'll likely be able to go on and battle some random people online. Okay, cool, the battle end. Oh, I got knocked out first. Well, I'm not going to sit here for 5 minutes and let them have the rest of the battle. I'm going to leave. Hence, you have disconnection, and then it's not going to work very well. So when the first person loses all their Pokemon basically, and it's maximum 3. When you lose your Pokemon, that's it. The game ends, and the person who wins is the person who has the most Pokemon left, and combined with the person who took out the most Pokemon. So if you took out no Pokemon and you had all 3 of yours left, great. However, if someone has 2 Pokemon left and also managed to kill 3 or 4 others, then they're going to win, sort of thing. So similar free-for-all style, slightly different however, but the main thing to look at here is customization is clearly back. They said they couldn't talk about it again in the sort of review, but you can see clearly we have 4 trainers here. Obviously the 2 central ones looking like the ones we've seen already, but you can see different shirts, different hats, all that kind of stuff. It's back, everyone knows it, it's pretty cool anyway. And that's pretty much it for the E3 stuff and obviously the extra video covered today. 20-minute long video, I'm sorry, but there was a lot of stuff I noted down here. Main sort of takeaways from it: Guardian Pokemon of each island, Tapu Koko being the one for the first island. Who knows whether there'll be like 4 legendaries, for example, whether they'll be central to the storyline. You would assume they would be. Solgaleo and Lana, maybe they'll be guardians of the other islands, or maybe they will be on their own. At the moment we don't know quite yet. It's all very different, but what I want to know is, what did you think of the gameplay if you've watched it? Did you think it was cool? Do you think it's going to be like a better game than X and Y were? I'm sure it will be, of course. And also let me know what you think about the 3 new Pokemon, the Yungoos, I can't remember his name now. I can't remember his name, I've completely forgot his name. Pikipek, that's the one. Pikipek, and of course, Grubbin. Let me know what you think about those down below, and anything else you've seen or discussed today. Hit me with some speculation as well about these Guardian deities and how that might work out. I'll be happy to do a video or 2 on them if you guys would like to see. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.